Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it's time for episode 8 of the Halloween 15 for 2021. This time out, I'm going to be looking at 1980's Fade to Black, starring Dennis Christopher, and this was directed by Vernon Zimmerman, who also wrote the script. As a movie fanatic, it's hard not to sometimes daydream about films and the characters within them. But what if a movie fan completely lost all grip on reality and began fighting back against those he feels who have wronged him over time? That's the premise of 1980's Fade to Black, a marvelously inventive but flawed movie about one such movie aficionado. Dennis Christopher stars as Eric Binford. He's a socially awkward young man who basically lives and breathes movies as an escape from the real world. He's living with his overbearing, wheelchair-bound aunt named Aunt Stella, who's played by Eve Brent, and she blames him for ending her promising dance career when she was younger. She also blames Eric for the death of his birth mother, who actually died while giving birth to him. So Eric spends most of his time in his room watching movies on an old projector or a small black and white TV. He surrounds himself with movie memorabilia, and he's really kind of built this comfortable world for himself. He works at a film warehouse, and he delivers movie prints and promotional material to theaters, and you would think this is his dream job, but even there he is tormented by co-workers who bully him and berate him for just being different. So one day he makes a stop at a local diner, and he meets Marilyn O'Connor, who is played by Linda Carriage, and she's an Australian model wannabe who is a dead ringer for Marilyn Monroe. Eric manages somehow, in his complete awkwardness, to intrigue her enough that she agrees to go out on a date with him. Unfortunately, she accidentally stands him up that night, and that's enough to push Eric's fragile psyche over the edge. He snaps basically, and he starts dressing up like his favorite movie characters and murdering those who have mistreated him. His murder spree begins with his Aunt Stella, who he pushes her wheelchair down a set of stairs, recreating a scene from Kiss of Death starring Richard Widmark. Fade to Black features just a fascinating performance from Dennis Christopher. He is by far the highlight of the film. As Binford, he convincingly transforms from the introverted movie fan into a wide array of personas, including Dracula, the Mummy, Hopalong Cassidy, and Cody Jarrett from White Heat, the character that James Cagney played. Simmering underneath is this palpable feeling of a lonely man with a desire to connect with someone, despite really not knowing how to do so. Dennis Christopher nails all of the nuances of a mentally wounded man while simultaneously going all in on these over-the-top fantasy sequences that occur throughout the film, these murder sequences where he's dressed up in full Mummy or Dracula or Hopalong Cassidy regalia and takes on the MOs of those particular characters to kill his victims. The script that I mentioned was written by Vernon Zimmerman. It's littered with countless references to movies and the film industry, and I think most of those will probably escape most viewers, but for those who pay attention, the way that Eric Binford would pay attention, they're there to discover. Zimmerman, I get this feeling just by his sort of sympathetic portrayal of Eric Binford, that there's a little bit of Eric Binford in Vernon Zimmerman in terms of his direction and the way the script is handled. And I think that little bit of him is the misunderstood movie fan rather than the homicidal maniac in the character. Unfortunately, though, Fade to Black does falter in a few key areas. There's this major subplot involving a psychologist who's played by Tim Thomerson, and he's trying to understand the impact of the media on criminals, and that really doesn't go anywhere. There's also sort of a romantic subplot with him and a female cop, and that just sort of detracts from the rest of the movie. It takes up a lot of screen time, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It does provide some unnecessary exposition in the final reel of the film, But other than that, it's really unnecessary. Although I will admit that Tim Thomerson's cocaine-fueled harmonica scene is absolutely hilarious. Also, the conclusion that the movie comes to is somewhat predictable, but kind of unavoidable. I don't know how else the film could have wrapped up. It sort of paints itself into a corner. And that's just a shame, since the premise is so unique and feels fresh even today. But still, I think Fade to Black is worth seeing for its unique take on the slasher genre. The more you love movies, the more you're going to love Fade to Black. But Dennis Christopher's performance is absolutely the main attraction to this film. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So there you go. That is my review of Fade to Black from 1980. Stay tuned for episode 9 of the Halloween 15, in which I will review a yet-to-be-determined film. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take it easy.